we had seen how to define classes, and we had seen we had learned that okay, they have attributes and they have methods. Now what we will do is we will basically go in more detail about this. First, the attributes part. So what is an attribute? Well, you can say okay, it's the data stored inside an object, or I might also say that okay, it's the instance variables, it's the data members, it is the field of that class. And for each class, well, we can define many attributes. We have this private, public, protected. These are keywords that we will see in much more detail in the following lectures. And I will briefly talk about what a private means in the next slide. But this basically shows how much that data is accessible. And then this is data type, and then the attribute name. So we define attribute for each class, which means like each object contains its own copy of that attribute. So when I create a student and it has a name attribute, and I create two different student objects, one of them has its own copy name, like that student name is Ali, and the other student has its own copy of that name, of that string, and his name is Muhammad. So it can be changed. So for each data that I create, that object I create, I will also create, Java will actually keep a separate variable for each of these objects. And this, what is this private? Well, it means that, okay, this object attribute can be accessible only within that class definition. Okay, so what does it mean? I'll tell you, I'll explain it with an example. So I will open my Eclipse, and let's go to this student example, okay? And let me zoom in. Let's say that we have this private string name. And we have some of these messages. I could also make this private also. Let's make it this private, okay? So within this class definition, okay, so within these two curly brackets, I can access these variables. What does it mean when I say that access? Well, which means that I can use them. I can either print them, I can return them, or maybe I can say, I'll define just one more function here. Let's say update GPA, whatever it means, okay? And maybe I will put here float x, and then I can even change its value, okay? And I can even make it any number I would like, and so on and so. But the thing is, I am able to use it within that class. But now I will save this file. Then I will go to our main code. I will zoom in so that everyone can see. I have some blank spaces. I don't like it, so I will delete it. So now I'll create a student object. Okay, student s is equal to new student. Then now I want to access this name variable or GPA variable, okay? So how can I do it? Well, I can do it with this s dot. Then I can say, I want to say name is equal to, I want its name to be Ali, okay? But I'm not able to do it. It doesn't give me, the reason is that I don't have access to it. The data is hidden from the other classes. The data is hidden from the other classes. Like I'm not able to also say, okay, s.gpa is equal to, I don't know, 0 or 4, whatever it is. I'm not able to do it. Okay, then how will I do it? I need to create some special methods. Actually, I would like to change its name. Let me say it's set GPA, okay? Now, we will later talk about this more but see that this is public. It means that it is accessible in any place. So which means that I can now run this function in any place, And by giving the data that I want to set, then I can change this variable. So now instead of saying that, okay, GPA, s.gpa should be 4, I can say set s.set GPA 4. So I cannot say this is invalid because GPA is private. So this is invalid, but this is valid. Well, let me say, this is only about this private case. So if I make also this public, okay, and then when I go to here, now it also becomes doable. So this is what private and public. Public means it is accessible in all places. Private means it is only accessible in that class definition. That would mean default access modifier, but we will talk about it in the following slides, okay? But my question is actually, why? Why do we have this private access modifier? Why I am restricting myself, saying that, okay, I should not be, like, I'm the developer, I'm the person who develops the code, but then I'm saying, okay, no, I shouldn't be able to say it in this way. It should be only called from this way. Do you have an idea, like, what's the point of having variables private, or even we can also do methods private, but for this case, just variables. What's the point of it?
To avoid editing values of to avoid editing this values by mistake from other team members, I think.
Okay, I think, yeah, your answer is, I think, correct. I just need some more crystal clear or elaboration on it. But yes, I got your point. Yes, please.
Like to make sure that all the variable updates happen to when they're created.
Yes, that's also a good point. Another idea? So when I do this, I think I got really good answers for this part. If you so when we are thinking about object-oriented programming, you should always think that, okay, you are not the only developer, because now you are trying to develop really professional systems in which many software developers will take role in. And you can always assume, okay, I am the project manager, I'm the team leader, and I have multiple people working on the same problem. And what you might say is, with the good thing of object-oriented programming is that you can say, okay, work on this student class, and you work on the classes, the courses, I mean. You can work on the website, so I can distribute the work. So some of them will work on implementing the class definition, some of them the others, and so on. And then, now I'm giving restrictions, but for the one who will implement this, I don't want you to directly access to this variable. Because the reason is that when you give this access, okay, there is a chance that there might be a human error. We know that a GPA can be between 0 and 4, but now from a technical perspective, well, I can make it 200. I can make it minus 200. So intentionally or unintentionally, humans do mistake. And now I'm opening a gap that I'm allowing them to change any variable, to give any integer to this variable. I don't want this to happen. Well then, you might also say, okay, right, but what if they also do it in this way? We also allow them to do this. What's the difference between saying that s.gpa is minus 200 and s.gpa 200? Yes, please. Exactly. What I can do is, now I can control all these invalid values here, saying that, okay, so now I'm forcing them to use the setGPA method to change the GPA variable. They cannot change it in another place. And if I put here an if statement saying that, okay, if this x is less than 0, or x is greater than 4, then you might say, okay, you can send an error message, say that, okay, invalid number. And you do not set the variable. You just send a message that, okay, this shouldn't be the case. If it is not that case, only in that case that you can say, okay, if it is a valid one, then I can change it. So what happened here is, now I force everyone to use this function to access it. And now I don't need to worry about it, like, because even now they cannot say this, it's invalid. They should always run this function, and I could easily control it. Input validation. So it hides the data from the others. And this problem might be, I can give many different examples. You are building an e-commerce application, and then there's a price for each item. And then what happens if everyone has access to those prices? Like, what if they make it minus values? What if make them 0? Then you will be selling them for free, and so on. So you want really control on how on your data and on your system. And this is one thing that we also always think about it. Not all software developers are great. Some of them might do some mistakes, like maybe some algorithmic error and so on. And maybe, well, some of them might give you an intentional harm to your company. Okay, so maybe they don't have a good feeling with the company. They say, okay, in an e-commerce platform, I will make all the prices minus values to give an harm. Well, that's also, might happen. So again, I want more control on the application that I'm developing. And yeah, I talk about this, the main motivation. And this get and set methods are very famous. When we said, okay, you have this function, this class, it has these attributes. Implement its gather and setter methods. It means that whenever you create a function, whenever you define a class in Java, for your attributes, what is a gather function? It means a function that just returns that variable. That's it. The reason why do I need it? Well, again, I don't have access to it here. Like, I want to print the student's GPA, okay? So I'm not able to say GPA, s.gpa, but I can say, okay, get the s.getGPA so that it will return me that one. So I need gathers and setters for the private attributes that I have. So this is a very specific term. Like when we say, okay, if implement gathers and setters, this is what it means. I'm just checking if I missed anything here. I think no, yeah. And now this UML diagrams is also important. I would like to focus on this. I would like to actually first zoom in that. So what is this? This is a UML diagram. And what it shows is actually, you see just a rectangle. But from a computer science perspective, it's very informative. So when we are designing a project, so we need to define the classes. Which classes I need, and for each class, what kind of attributes I need, and what kind of methods I need to define. So, and then there's we'll say it later on, but there's also a relationship between classes and so on. So actually, I'm trying to build a very sophisticated thing. Think about an e-commerce platform. You have maybe thousands of items. So for each of them, maybe you need a class for them. And for the Blackboard, we need different classes, like students, courses, sections, I don't know, semesters, and so on and so on and so on, many things. So I want to say that, okay, your task is to implement this rectangle class, okay? Then you say, okay, what should I implement for it? Again, now I'm in the team leader position. So I'm not defining it, but I'm just saying, okay, we need width and length, they should be double. And we will have these functions for it. These are the names. So this is a like a protocol that we use to communicate with the people. And then I say, okay, implement this. Once a software developer gets this, okay, he will understand what he has to implement. A double attribute called width, a double attribute called length, and we have a function which is void. It takes a double parameter, it sets width, and again a void function. It takes one parameter, it's named this. It returns double, its name is this. It returns double, its name is this. And here we have this plus signs and a minus signs. What is it? Do you have any educated guess? What might be this? Yes. If it is public, I put a plus. If it is private, I put this minus sign. So by just looking at this rectangle, this shape, this diagram, then I can just implement this code now. Its name should be rectangle. I need these two variables. They should be private. I need to zoom out. I have this setters, gathers, and this get area function. So I know, of course, it's not explaining how I should implement it, but at least for the setter and gather functions, I know how to implement those. And for the get area, again, it's not specifying how it should be implemented, but it is basically giving us the main structure of the classes. And I just want to know this. This is a very common representation. Even in your senior design project, inshallah, when you will graduate in your last year, in that project you are also asked to design your class diagram, and then you are asked to again use this UML diagram or so to show your software design. So this is a pretty common, like a knowledge to communicate between two software developers that what to implement. And again, even in some lab assignments or maybe in quizzes, I can give you this, like, okay, this is your UML diagram, and now implement your code accordingly. So this is, again, one thing that we might even ask. Do you have any questions so far? And this gathers and setters, as I said, very common. Like even these Eclipse-like tools, they allow you to generate these automatically. How do we do it? Well, again, let me show it also from my Eclipse. First, I will delete them so that we see it in a much better way. So in any place of your code, right-click, go to source, and then you will see that here it is generate gathers, setters, and so on and so. So if you click one of the generate gathers and setters, and then you will just pick the attributes that you want to create the generate gathers for, and then once you click generate, it will automatically put those methods for you.
So is this only for private identifier?
You mean this feature of Eclipse or gathers and setters part? Well, of course you can always put gathers and setters even though your variables are public, but normally it makes sense when you have private attributes, when your data is somehow not accessible. But if you make your code attributes public, then you allow them to read and write from any place, so you don't need those gathers and setters then.
Is it a clean code approach?
So by default, you might say that the attributes should be private, but if there is some specific cases, then you can make them public. But you need to be careful about it in real life, like what if an invalid data is tried to set for this variable. So using them, making them private is much better way of coding, I can say it this way.
Why does it say there this dot name?
Oh, we will see it, but let me show you what it means. So here the attribute name is name, and our attribute, attribute name is name, and the parameter is also name. So when I say name is equal to name, Java will say, okay, what does it mean? Like, name is equal to name. So I need to say that, okay, whenever we say this, we mean the class that we are defining. So when I say this.name, I mean that, okay, name attribute of this class, which is this thing, should be equal to name, which is the parameter. So to differentiate what I mean by name. List in Java. We will see it in the following chapters. We have this array list. We have it. Yes. All right. So if you don't follow these kind of rules in programming, you might say, okay, you might be very opportunistic that, okay, we will just finish this code in 1 week. But in software developing, it's really easy to mess it up. Actually, that's why most of the cases in object-oriented programming, we have these kind of control mechanisms so that we do not mess up with our code. I will stop here for attendance. Let's give 1 minute break for attendance, and now we will continue.